So this is our FTC robot that the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders will build. This was it for last year. And then last year's goal was there was these blocks and you had to pick them up and put them in that rack thing, and the more points. And then also another part of the game was at the very beginning, we had to self-program it, which means we couldn't have driven it, and that's called the autonomous period. So what we did for that was this arm would drop down, and then this thing's on a motor, and it would either, like, if we're on the red team, we would knock off the blue team's ball, or vice versa. That was one part of the robot, and then we'll show you the black part.
Can you describe a little bit of the game? How much time do you have to do that?
Alright, so we have 30 seconds for the pre-program part, and then we have a minute and a half. 2 minutes for this part, which is the middle time to put these, and then the last part is called the Endgame, and they have usually some different challenges that you can complete. So for our other robot, which we're not demoing, one of the Endgame challenges was, so this was their robot, they actually made Legos out of it. So it would grab onto this thing that was sitting on the ground, and this whole part would extend over the game board, because there was kind of like outlines on the end with walls, so it would extend over that, and then place it as far away on a map as possible for the most amount of points. And then they were able to do that many times, which gave their team a big bonus.
Yeah, about 95% success rate. This was the robot that went to state, and what would you say, probably less than 20% of the teams could do that end game. And even what these guys showed with that 30-second autonomous, 40%, less than that, actually do autonomous. So for both teams to be able to achieve that is a really big accomplishment, because a lot of teams in the state aren't able to do that.
So was that the robot for this past year and then? Or
no, we had two teams, so both
teams
built their own robot. And the neat thing is they're both going against the same game, but they came up with totally different designs and strategy of how they wanted to play the game. The objective is scoring more points than the other team.
Yeah.
So it's really neat, that they came up with totally different ideas.
This reminds me of if somebody's in the water and they need to be rescued, you can use that robot to point them right out of the water.
Yep. So the other thing that we've really focused on is just not the robotics, but also reaching out into our community and do different things. So Ava, could you share with us some of the outreach events that we've done this summer?
Hi, I'm Ava, and I'm new this year, so I really haven't done the robot building yet. But the outreach events I have done this summer are the presentation to the Ashtamo Rotary Club. I thought that was really cool because it was my first demo of the robot speaking in public. I also did the handout water to the Mattawan 5K road race. I think that was really fun too, because I just love doing stuff. And that's really all I've done.
Can you just read through the list of all the different things we've done? So.
We've done the public robotic demonstration at the Market Fair in St. Joseph, the public robotic demonstration at Antwerp Sunshine Library, visit to Friendship Village Retirement Home, robotic cow milking plant tour, 20 Boy Scouts from Paw Paw, Mattawan, Sturgis, South Haven, Kalamazoo, and Vicksburg earn their robotic merit badges, presentation to Mattawan School Board. That's today.
And then what are we doing in the future? We've got a few upcoming events.
Public robotic demonstration at Geek Fest in Kalamazoo, Mattawan Homecoming Parade, and 3rd Annual Girls in STEM Day.
So again, one of the things is they're not just in the basement building robots, but they're getting a chance to go out there. They're kind of STEM ambassadors. And as you see, we're spreading out. We're not just in Mattawan. We're in Kalamazoo. This year, for the first time, we had kids from Sturgis and South Haven come over. to get the robotics merit badge. We had some Vicksburg kids in that. So we're trying to create a blueprint and an outreach so these guys can share what they're doing and hopefully inspire other kids, whether they're in Mattawan or other school districts, to hopefully pursue robotics. So, thank you, Eva. Ro, could you give us kind of introduce them to now the 2018 RoboKats, who are just getting started?
Yeah, this year we had 2 teams of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that were selected. We had the tryouts in May, and they took part in, as she said, outreach events throughout the summer, and then this Saturday we had a kickoff event in Grand Rapids where we selected the challenge, and that's really all I had.
Okay, cool. So our season just kicked off on Saturday. So we went up to Grand Valley State University in Grand Rapids, where they revealed this year's game. And Keegan, you're gonna share with us a little bit, just give them a little, and so hopefully next year we're here showing you the new robots that were used for this year's game.
So 2018, the FTC robotic game it's called RoboKats. So it's been kicked off at Grand Valley State University in Grand Rapids this past Saturday, and it's space themed, including a lunar lander, 2 craters, and gold and silver, gold cubes and silver balls that we need to collect. So we'll have to build so we can build and program the robot through last October, and tournament between last October and Christmas.
So what would that robot have to do? Pick up silver and,
It can only hold 2 silver or 2 of the materials at a time. So it just have to be like a claw, and there are 2 areas where you can deposit it. You didn't have to have a claw or a scoop of some sort.
So there's actually gonna be a lunar lander, a physical thing in the middle of my basement of my house. And one of the objectives is there's either yellow square blocks or white wiffle balls that part of the challenge is to place those in the lunar lander. So you have to figure out how to pick them up and how to place them there. What are some of the other things that we just started? The game is really new. We just got it Saturday and we just started talking about last night. What are a couple other parts of the game? Hanging from the lunar lander?
Yeah, we have to do, at the end of the game, we have to grab onto the lunar lander, and you have to stay on till the end of the match, and if you do that, you get 50 points, which is really big. And at the beginning of the match, if your robot can hang and detach completely and land, then you get another 30 points.
So this will be a RoboKat first, because we've never created a robot before that had to hang from a hook, lower itself, and then raise itself up at the end. So they're going to be doing something brand new we've never done before. So, and the games are really complex, so they can't do everything. So the things we're going through right now is the strategy and what parts of the game they want to focus on. And maybe in a week or 2, once they kind of decide that, they will start building their creation. So, any other questions for the kids? That's all we have.
did they say they try out for the team?
They do, yes.
Oh, wow.
Because our demand is higher than what, one of our limitations is volunteers. So Mr. Cross is here, he's one of our mentors, and we lost a mentor because he went with his son to high school. So we were fortunate to get a new mentor so we could have 2 teams.